Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Good morning to you wherever you are watching us from. This is another beautiful time to be together. Monday morning. Hey, it could be Bagbakuba, but definitely OSUN itself will not Bagbakuba. Hope you had a splendid weekend, and would like to say thank you always for keeping faith with us right here at WSTV, Western Spring Television, because why we say it as it is. Welcome to Morning Spring, and this is one program that rolls from Mondays through Friday, and we are fully back again to serve you in the best of ways, in the best of form. It promises to be exciting as always. Welcome on board. On behalf of the entire transmission team, I'd like to say thank you for being there with us. TUNDE IDOWU is my name. Hey, XS at Irresistible TD. I like to say it's a pleasure always having a brother in the house, and one or two things. So let me just leave it at that. Good morning to you, Fred. Good morning.
Let me say a caro. Inakwana.
Otutuoma. That I don't know.
Yene.
All right.
From wherever you're listening to us from. Good morning. Unado. And possibly in the Delta, you say Migwo.
Migwo. Redo.
Yeah,
Redo.
Okay. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. This is your daily morning program where we say it as it is here at Western Spring Television. My name is FEMI Joe. Hope you had a good weekend. Time to rest, time to bond, time to work for some.
Yeah.
And of course, you're welcome to today, the first working day of this week. As the musician, the innocent Dibia said in one of his music, today is the first day of the rest of our lives. And so let's make good of it. Of course, as indigents of states that you're listening to us from, as citizens of Nigeria, as a human being, you know, rational, logical, one that will want to do the best in whatever capacity or she is put, and especially as a Nigerian, you have that duty to this nation to be patriotic, to be helpful, to do the best that you can. Yes, challenges that there are here and there. It's part of life.
Yeah. From
here to Athens to New York to Bombay to Kabul, from anywhere, you know, to Elisha, to Shogbo, to anywhere that you are listening to us from. Challenges are part of life, but do the best you can to surmount it and stand up tall. You know, I say it again, especially as in Nigeria. So many things are happening. The weekend was a very interesting one in the manner of speaking. You know, yesterday, Pastor Tunde Bakare spoke on the state of the nation, which is already generating some furore, you know, controversies, reactions here and there. The military junta, we understand as, you know, toning down a bit, hoping for negotiation, and that sounds like a good news. It's going to be a very good one. Of course, what has been happening at the House of Representatives Committee, especially on the issue of racketeering, which is reminiscent in most MDAs and even in the private sector as well. People having to pay through their nose to have something to do, called the job. You know, somebody said, like this will go the day, meaning is this how we're going to continue? So there is an investigation going on. We're going to speak on that. But firstly, we look at the papers today.
No doubt about that. We'd like to let you know that you can view us as well on our YouTube channel. We are live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television, and on all our social media handles as well. On Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. We are definitely there for you. You can view every of our programs that comes out from Western Spring Television. You can definitely join us.
Let me ask. You know, when you said whenever you talk about your handle at Irresistible and you talk about X, you know, have you been getting the update that X on your phone.
Yeah,
it's not more the T.
It's not the T. It's changed on my phone.
So
now.
for some, they are wondering. It's still Twitter, by the way.
It's still Twitter.
But the icon is now X, you know, at Irresistible. By the way, Femi Ojo is my name. And of course, you can catch me on my handle at Femi Ojo Live, you know, to be part of what's happening here. Of course, very importantly, that of Western Spring Television. Of course, we'll go through the papers, but that will be after this break. We take a short break now. When we come back, we go through papers. We have quite a lot that you will be interested in. You still Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back. Yeah, and we're back here to give you the papers, you know, stories as reported by the Nigerian major dailies. And let me start from the Punch for today. The Punch newspaper having this bold headline that reads, Forest Crisis. Marketers propose 720 naira per litre. Suspend fuel imports. I'm talking about Punch for today. Forest crisis. Marketers propose 720 naira per litre. Suspend fuel imports. Okay, here we go. With riders, no forex in CBN's I&E window. Fuel price hike imminent. Wow. Again.
Oh, wow.
Say Morman and Heapman. Okay. The other rider says marketers seek end to dollar scarcity. Naira slides further amid shortage. Okay. And at the center there, you have a picture, I think, of the military junta and some clerics who are there to have a word with the leaders of that military junta happening in Niger Republic. You have this headline there: Niger junta bows to pressure, demands meeting with ECOWAS. Okay, I think it's a good one.
That's a good one.
By the way, it's a good place to start. And just below it, you have CCB shuns a request on Tinubu Shetima's assets. CCB is the Code of Conduct Bureau. And beside it in red, you have ICPC grills Agric Ministry officials over massive fraud. Please go out the way. And next to it, you have Shaibu manipulated youth council poll for selfish reasons. Obaseki, that's what's going on right there in those states. Okay. And at the top strip on Niger, you have PDP, NLC, Bakari, Kegama oppose military action. Okay. And you have CBN staff loans jump by 113%, hit 40 billion naira. Wow. CBN staff loans. By the way, towards the weekend, we had news that, you know, the CBN released an audit that has not been done in 7 years. 7
Yeah, and
years. And all of a sudden, many holes are being, you know, found in these things. And, you know, we get to speak about this
definitely
in the course of the week as well. And military pledges loyalty to Nigeria, backs democracy. That's a good one. Thank you. That's the way it should be.
Thank you to them.
Of course. Military pledges loyalty to Nigeria, backs democracy. While we appreciate they making that statement and confirmation, that is the way it's supposed to be. By the way, that's all there is about the Punch this morning.
Let me start my set of headlines from the pages of the Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper has quite a whole lot to talk about, so let's just reel some of these stories out to you. Sorry, I'm trying to get these the papers clearly here. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, I beg your pardon, Vanguard newspaper for today, it says, coup, we struck to avert threat against Nigeria. Niger, from the Vanguard newspaper, that's credited to General Chiani. We struck to avert threat against Nigeria. and Niger, that's credited to General Chiani. There's quite a whole lot of writers associated to that story. Yeah. You can check it out there. And you have just below the set of headlines, writers associated to the first story, you have one story under the blue strip of the Vanguard newspaper. It says, Shuaibu manipulated NYCN election for Edo governorship ambition. That's credited to Obaseki. It seems as if the war, the rift between the governor and the deputy is not subsiding. It seems to every day there's something new coming out.
To this. But you know, the interesting part is sometimes the denial of the obvious by each camp, saying, I have no problem with him. The other side will say, okay, I have no problem with him. I've read some articles in which they will now put it on the media and say you are the one quoting out of context. You know, the media sometimes is always the easy, the fall guy in a kind of talk, you know, by the way. But then, just like we always say, we wish you guys all
honestly, I don't know. Why weren't we hearing this before the election or while the rapport
power is about to change hands?
Yeah, but
so many interests are involved.
All right, let's just move on there. Let's see. You can see that there's a picture on the page of on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. It's that's the picture of supporters cheering at a concert for Niger's coupists. It's I think it's dicey. It's a 50-50 thing, and I remember we stated this in the course of last week while we were talking about Niger and what have you. Look, ECOWAS, AU, all of them need to just tread softly,
very softly.
And at this moment in time, look at the mammoth crowd there at the concert to cheer the coupists.
It's sending a message.
Yeah,
and so all these things should be looked into.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now that bound to pressure, talking to people, ECOWAS, ready to talk to ECOWAS. Thank you, General Chiani, and the rest of your men. Coming further down a little bit, subsidy removal, kill corruption, not Nigerians. Bakari tells Tinubu. Yeah, that was one of his messages yesterday.
State of the nation.
And there is this story on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper, and it says, we never received any coup request, says military high command. Please don't have. And Serap sues Akpabio Abbas over plans to spend 110 billion naira on exotic cars. Others. Where were the other cars? Those who didn't return to the house. Where are these cars? Why wouldn't they be returned? Aren't they government properties?
You know, I think there is a convention
right you go with it
that you know, they know how they handle these things, but then it appears at every administration, every 4 years, there seems to be that, you know, the need to purchase new things. Maybe some of those things have gone with the severance package of the old National Assembly members. It's a whole lot, really. It's a whole lot. But then that the SERAP is bringing this up, we hope we have more clarity. Because it might be an allegation, it might be true, it might not be true. So we get to see more about this in the coming days. Then
on the top strip of the same daily Vanguard newspaper for today, fresh fuel price hike looms as landing cost rises by 37.4%. Very worried. I am worried. And why I was retired as PEMSEC at 48, that's credited to Oyegun, ex-APC chairman. It's been a while ahead from the man. I think age is telling, and he's trying to probably withdraw a little bit, probably. And NJC denies ceding power on judges' appointment promotions to governors. Okay, from the exciting world of sports there, Budapest 2023. Toby Amuson's fate hangs in the balance. Wow. And that will be all from the Vanguard newspaper. But now that the English Premiership is back, so many. What did they watch this one? The viewing centers. Will return again.
The guys have been off for a while, so business will be up. You know, there is an economy around that. There is an ecosystem, because when this the viewing center guy opens, definitely people will come. The shops around the viewing center who sells, you know, drinks and the rest of it, business will, right? So when a business thrives in a place, there are 1, 2, 3 few others who gets to enjoy patronage. And that's what we speak to, having a very attractive business atmosphere, you know, irrespective of how small or how big it is. Now, we'll go to the Nigerian Tribune for this morning. The Nigerian Tribune. We have here, boldly written in the center, Arewa Forum laments 13 billion naira weekly loss to border closure. That's an angle to that Niger issue that happened, really. And says more than 2,000 trucks of perishable goods trapped at borders. Wow. Diversion of flight from Niger's airspace has not affected fears. That's coming from Nanta president. Okay. And you still have here subsidy. Tinubu put the cart before the horse. Bakari wants president to unite, not further divide Nigeria. He said a whole lot in that State of the Nation broadcast that he did at his church yesterday, and he does that periodically as well. You know how vocal Pastor Tunde Bakari can be, especially on national issues. At a point, it was a vice presidential candidate, you know, to
the ACN,
in the CPC days of President Muhammadu Buhari, as a candidate then. So he's not new to national issues and his concerns. So he lets his mind out whenever he sees that there is need to that. Is there? You might want to see that particular State of the Nation address as well. Okay. Military never received any coup request. DHQ, Tunde has said, don't, please. Okay. I procured guns from police. Inspector, armed robbery suspect alleges in Ogun. Okay, please probe that. Niger coup leaders ready for dialogue with ECOWAS. Apologize to Tinubu. Explain their anger during Abdulsalami Sultan visit. And explain how the coups staved off threat to Nigeria. I think that should make for an interesting read there. And you have in the picture there, you know, some big guns in the business world, and of course the U.S. Consul General Will Stevens as well.
Chairman
and top strip, you have in insurance, NYCN latches on $25 trillion global takaful insurance for market expansion. Okay. On the economy, CBN to clamp down on banks engaging in illegal sales of forex. I think they should really go for that. If there's any fact to that, because when you go to a bank, that's a formal, official, corporate entity, and then you still get to hear illegal, shady dealings going on, especially has to do with forex. The CBN should do. Because they are a regulator, especially in the banking and financial world, they should do better. But someone will look at this and say, what exactly is the issue with the forex? I remember during the tenure of the former CBN governor now, Godwin Emefiele, there was this issue about a particular website, Aboki FX or something, that had to be closed down because they feel the owners of that particular website as the one dictating, and you wonder how can an independent website, but you know, there's a website that usually gain traction, and they said that they shut it down, and at the end of the day, there was so many ridiculous things has happened in this nation. There was a time they had to cut down trees on some streets in Abuja because they believe those who do borrow the change use the shadow, they take shade under that tree to make that release. So they had to cut down trees because they feel that, but here we are. This thing is still skyrocketing. We have the floating of the forex now. And then the CBN are saying they are going to investigate banks doing illegal shady deals. Please do that, okay? Nigerians just want to breathe.
Seriously.
Really.
Seriously.
That's all we want to do, carefully and you know, voluntarily and happily. That's all Nigeria. And I'm not sure that's too much to ask for. And here, nominations open for 2023 Obafemi Awolowo Leadership Prize. That's all. That will be all for Tribune, Nigerian Tribune, for this morning.
Let's just quickly check out some other headlines making the round from the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian newspaper for today, it has the big bold headline there as well. CBN's fiscal Irresponsibility Act. Investigators probe CBN staff, consultants, NIBSS, NSPMC. Okay. That's on page 6 of that same daily. Wow, quite a whole lot. And below the picture of Mr. President Godwin Emefiele, there you have ministerial nomination as litmus test for APC in Southeast. Ministerial nomination as litmus test for APC in Southeast. Coming further down that same daily, going to Niger. Military succumb to dialogue, says coup in Nigeria interest. Military succumb to dialogue, says coup in Nigeria's interest. How? In the course of the week, we probably will find out. Then moving further, Tinubu's reform will fail without economic justice, ending corruption. That's credited to Pastor Tunde Bakare. That's from another angle, the way the Guardian has taken it and made so many things. The prophet, the pastor stated in his church yesterday. Shareholders point fingers over court order barring First Bank Nigeria Holdings from holding AGM, and how fuel subsidy removal impedes justice administration. And on the top strip of that same daily, how 66 days of APC plunged Nigeria into further darkness. That's credited to the Labour Party there. That will be all from the Guardian newspaper from me this morning. Okay, and on the Daily Trust for this morning, the Daily Trust, still the bold caption there has to do with the Niger situation. ECOWAS, Niger's junta begin talks soon with riders. Military rulers accept dialogue. Ulamas to brief Tinubu today. Okay, let's just have a solution to this, a permanent, workable one. Either it's from a religious or traditional angle, let have a permanent and workable solution. We sacked Bazoum to save Niger. Nigeria. Coupist. How? Nigeria is being mentioned here. Okay. I wonder. We get to see. Why we shunned Abdusalami delegation. Okay. Protest in Katsina for Bazoum's release. Envoy seeks US help. Why? Protest in Katsina. Hopefully, I think there's something. A couple of protests. Something in Kano as well. Something the world, the outside world, don't know. Okay. There's probably something because now Nigeria is involved. Nigeria's name is being imputed. Is being mentioned. Why is ECOWAS so very rigid that look? We'll have to take these guys out. If they don't return power to Bazoum, we'll probably come. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. Okay. We're not insinuating, but in the course of the week, we'll probably hear more. Protest in Katsina for Bazoum release. Envoy seeks out. There have been some videos. In fact, there was a video of someone or a mob, rather, somewhere protesting and then holding the France's flag. Yeah, rubbing it on the ground and burning it because I believe France has vested interest in Niger. But how is that Nigeria's business? ECOWAS can do their thing, and Nigeria is part of ECOWAS. But then when you see pockets of protest in some of these states, Katsina, Kano, in Abuja, let's please be careful. Really. We need to be very careful, most especially because of these xenophobic attacks that we've seen what's happened in South Africa a couple of years back, and Nigerians are in Niger. They live, they got businesses, and they're doing well. But then here in Nigeria is a sovereign state. Nigeria is a sovereign state. You know, just like they would say in a regular local parlance, let's mind our business. Our business is our business. Let the people with diplomatic duties do their duty. And you, as a trader, as a Nigerian citizen, as a student, as a farmer, mind what is important to you. Seriously, please. Okay, moving on. Kano halts fee increment by private schools. Okay, maybe they have a solution to that, because definitely the economic realities is here in everybody's faces. Seriously? But it's a good one. But I hope it's not just by stopping. They have something to cushion the effect of that purported increase. Okay, Gombe Bauchi Road bridge collapses after downpour. Sad one there. Overhead tank collapses, kills teacher in Edo. Oh God.
commiserate with those involved, really. Okay, and at the top strip, you have road crashes claim 4,387 lives in 6 months. That's a lot.
Absolutely.
That's a lot.
It's, when you keep hearing figures like
4,387 lives in 6 months.
I saw it last night, and I was like, God, human being in 6 months, 4,000 plus
of human lives.
We just need to, as drivers, please, we need to be very careful on the road. If we have to look at most of these accidents, the result will probably have been overspeeding, drinking and driving. But we just appeal. Look, like my car, I know how much I spend to keep that car
fix it,
on the road in good shape. Most of these commercial cars, buses, cars, at times you wonder. They don't. Some of them don't have side mirrors. Some of them will have to put.
When you see them moving on the road in one kind of a tilted manner,
exactly,
and not just commercial drivers, even private car owners as well, especially overspeeding. I was coming to work this morning, and you know, just around a place not too far from us here, you could see the speed that the guy that just passed us was in, and you know, we were just discussing with somebody with me and said, if something happens, if this guy gets to see possibly a stone on the road or something that will make him to step on the brakes, definitely that should be a disaster, especially approaching a roundabout. So you wonder the reason for the speed, and yes, things happen, bad things happen sometimes. We don't pray for that, but then some of these things are avoidable. Absolutely. Very avoidable. It is a very, very sad situation. Talking about these statistics, 4,387 lives in 6 months. And next day you have diversion of diaspora remittances contributing to Naira crash. Okay, CBN. And lastly, farmers flee as bandits invade Niger villages. Farmers flee as bandits invade Niger villages. And these could mean so many things. Security-wise, food security-wise, because definitely farmers will not be able to go to their farms to do their thing. And then it speaks volume about food security in Nigeria. All these things have its consequences. We hope the security people will do what they have to do. And I think this will be the convenient point for us to anchor on the headlines for this morning. I want to thank you for staying with us, but please stay there, adjust your seat, take a cushion if you have to, because we have a lot to really talk about this morning. You don't want to miss it. We'll go on a short break right now. When we come back, we get talking. It's the Morning Springs and Western Spring Television. Please stay with us.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever expounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast, detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
Sports is a culture on its own. It has its own language, its own people, with their own way of life. The world of sports is never void of actions, stories, dramas, and scandals. I guess you need a sports show that can walk the walk and talk the talk.
On this show, we answer all your sporting questions. The whens, the whys, the wheres, and even the what-ifs. Sports Spring is that show that will give you that new lease of life you've been looking for in sport journalism. Join me, Joseph Atewe,
And your sports Amazon, Nengi Ernest.
on this station, Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
Let's talk sports. Let's speak the most universal language of the world.
Funmilayo Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Funmilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladotun Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Funmilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children who inherited her spirit of activism. Olufela and Be Kololari, the former, a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize, was born on 25th October 1900 and was killed on 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television identifies Funmilayo Ransom Kuti as a watershed character in history. Hilas Olayinka Herbert Macaulay, politician, nationalist and journalist, was the first Nigerian to qualify as a civil engineer, surveyor and architect. Born on November 14, 1864, Herbert Macaulay was the founder of Nigeria's National Democratic Party, the first political party in pre-independent Nigeria. Scholars of Nigeria's political history describe Herbert Macaulay as the intellectual bulldog of 19th century Nigerian nationalist movement, in deference to his qualities as founder and leader of two foremost political parties, Nigeria National Democratic Party (NNDP) and National Council of Nigerian Citizens (NCNC). His matchless versatility in party organization and control kept the British colonialists on their toes in the entire span of his active life. After his death on 7th May 1946, Herbert Macaulay remains a hero of his country, which recognized his anti-colonial struggles. Today, Nigeria's 10 naira coin bears his oval face and trademark moustache. Western Spring Television identifies Herbert Macaulay as a major character in history. Kiriji War, also known as Ekiti-Parapa War, was waged among Yoruba main ethnic groups which emerged from the ruins of the falling Oyo Empire that were desperate to replace the awesome powers hitherto wielded by the Alaafin of Oyo. The Kiriji War is defined as a conflict of confederacy and unitary political system championed by Yorubas of different socio-economic and political interests. The Ibadan military aristocrats felt they deserved a dominant position for saving Yoruba land from being totally submerged by the Fulanis by their victory in Osogbo War of 1840 and Ijaye War of 1862. Kiriji War, that took its name from the booming motor sounds of European arms, festered for so long because the Industrial Revolution in Europe provoked high standards of slaves. The 16-year Civil War also caused the emergence of new powerful kingdoms like Ibadan and the rise of powerful personalities like Oluyole, Ogunmola, Kuromi, Latosha, Shodeke, Fabumi, and Ogedengbe. One of the fallouts of Kiriji War was the birth of creative political and leadership structure in Yoruba land that was a blend of federalism and the autocratic monarchical system. Western Spring Television identifies Kiriji War as a watershed event. The Korean War of 1950 to 1953 pitched North and South Korea against each other in response to intrigues by nations beyond their border with different interests from those canvassed by the two brother nations. The Korean War had all the nuances of an external conflict induced by powers that were interested in subjugating North and South Korea. Japan had leveraged on its military power to annex Korea in 1900 and imposed a military union that did not sit well with the citizens. Japan not only lost its war of conquest against Korea, all its powers were obliterated by the effect of the World War II. The end of World War II got Korea divided into two nations along 38th parallel lines by the instrumentality of the United States of America and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. The Korean War lapsed into a Cold War when it stopped the prying eyes of external forces into the internal affairs of a nation now divided along its north and southern territories. Western Spring Television identifies the Korean War as a major event in history. Samuel Ladoke Akintola was a frontal figure in the historical moves that birthed an independent Nigeria from colonial Britain. As a freedom activist, he deployed his wits, energy, intellect, and oratory skills to prepare the grounds for constitutional talks that eventually culminated in the country's independence in 1960. The 13th Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yoruba land cut his teeth as a politician when he became a foundation member of Action Group, the dominant political party in the Western region, and was elected the party's parliamentary leader of opposition at the Federal House of Representatives. The crisis in the Action Group, which pitched Samuel Ladoke Akintola against his leader, was not only a sore point in his colorful political life, but a reversal of gains which characterized the exemplary leadership of Awolowo Akintola premiership. 23 years after his death, Oyo State University of Technology Ogbomosho was renamed Samuel Ladoke Akintola University of Technology to keep his memory alive. Western Spring Television identifies Samuel Ladoke Akintola as a major character in history.
Welcome back, and it's the Morning Spring right here from Western Spring Television. In the last couple of months, it's been a hell of activities concerning job racketeering. What does this mean? People will come to pay for jobs even through their nose. They pay as much as 1 million, 2 million to secure a job, and eventually, hey, these jobs probably will not come up. And there's been so much to talk about concerning job racketeering that has actually led to the House of Representatives taking charge concerning this. But in Nigeria, it's an in thing, so to say. For those who have experienced it before, will tell you that, oh, that's the way for you to be able to secure a good job. But why should this be at the detriment of so many good heads that graduates from our different institutions on yearly basis? Where does this leave them? We'll look at the impact of this job racketeering on the youths and on Nigerians in general at this point in time. It's really a saddening thing to have that happen in our dear nation. Our guests are seated well with us this morning, and Femi is also in the house, and I'll leave I'll give Femi the opportunity to do the needful at this time.
Yes, you know, talking about job racketeering is a whole lot.
Absolutely.
Really. It appears there is a cartel, you know, involved in this, and when you talk about it, it's not only in the government circle. We have it in the private as well. Now, there is these, just like you said, a House committee, ad hoc committee by the House of Reps put together to investigate a particular case, and an MD of the government talking about the Federal Character Commission. That's the one being investigated right now because of petitions and barrage of petitions against that commission. So the chairman of the commission was invited. The national commissioners were invited as well. And so it's been a case of allegations and counter allegations. At the time, the chairman said the commissioners of each state gathered themselves against her. It was a case of corruption fighting back. Well, the commissioners as well who were there spoke under oath and said the chairman is as culpable as they are as well. In fact, one of them, I think the one from Taraba, I'm not too sure now, owned up and said, yes, these things happened. He collected money, but he did that on behalf of the chairman. So some of the victims, so to speak, of that racketeering were invited as well, and he spoke how they had to pay in millions to get that job. The bad part, you know, just putting a context and a background to this, the bad part for some of them is those jobs were not regularized. They were only given documents that were later withdrawn, and you know, some of them had a lot to say. So that's why we're having this conversation this morning. You know, on our social media handles, you could go there to share your experience as well, and then we have this conversation with the gentleman. And okay, there's no gentle lady. And she's here as well. We have Deborah here, who has an experience with such a thing. Deborah, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good to have you here.
Having me here.
And of course, we have Mr. ABDULAZEEZ, ISMAIL ABIODUN. He was a chairman of the Nigeria.
Former chairman.
Yeah. Former chairman of the Nigeria Youth Council of Nigeria in OSUN State before. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. ABDULAZEEZ.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me.
And, definitely, Deborah Shalado is here in the house as well. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this beautiful Monday morning. Let's just look at it. Let's first of all, let's start with the lady, because they tend to get a little bit ladies first. Deborah, tell us, job racketeering. You've experienced something like that before, where you had to pay some ridiculous amount of money to secure a job. Not here, naturally. I know it's not here. Tell us your experience first of all.
Well, sincerely, I've not personally experienced it, but I've had friends and close relatives who at one point in time running helter-skelter to get, you know, millions of naira that they can't even afford for years to come. And I know this thing has been happening for so long. In fact, if you would ask me, it is as long as democracy itself in Nigeria since 1999.
Really?
So, and this has passed on to become the general norms of our society, if we'll be very sincere. And looking at it, it's now a case of the highest bidder over who is qualified, which is a major problem of our present society. I mean, look at it. Our economy is now based on those who are not qualified, or who is the highest bidder, over those who are qualified but cannot afford this money. Do you know this thing go as far as 1 million naira, as up as 1 million naira, 2 million, and even 3.5, depending on what you call lucrative and less lucrative, according to them. So, and for me, it's a major hindrance, not just to our society, to the youth especially, to us especially. Let me put it in that way.
When you say us, are you talking about the younger generation, the youths?
Yes.
Yeah, because I know what it looks like when you need a job, you want to get a job, and you have to struggle. You know, I look at it. You come out with a 2-1. A very good result, either from the institutions, and you have to go through the thin line for you to be able to secure one. I don't know, but let's just keep talking. Let's come straight to a former chairman of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, Osun State Chapter, Mr. ABDULAZEEZ, with us. The speed at which job racketeering is evident in the nation today. How do you feel about it, first of all?
Well, we all agree that it has become the norms. And just like she said, well, she has limited it to 1999, but I'll tell you that it's far beyond 1999. Because if you go to some ministries, some agencies where we have permanent secretaries, we have senior directors today, where you see there are ways of approaching to their departments, you wonder, how do you grow to this level? You wonder, how do you grow to this level? You wonder, how do you manage to get yourself here? Where you can even be comparing that somebody like us that have not been in the civil service will do it more perfectly than the permanent secretary will do something in that agency. So meaning that it has added to a lot of problems we have in this country. Not only affecting the youth, as we say, but has affected the development of this nation entirely. So, looking from that angle, we see that we have a lot of places to go. How do we now begin to identify from one point to the other? We all agree that we have accepted it, that has become the norms. Meaning that even if you are a graduate, you know what exactly you want to apply for, you know what exactly you want to do there.
Yeah.
You can never have the opportunity.
Wow.
The effect on us, not as individual now, on the entire nation, the development, the economic aspect, the health sector, the whatever sector you want to name it, has sink into every part of us. Where you get to the hospitals, some doctors, some nurses, some midwives that will attend to you, wonder, how do you get here? So this racketeering of a thing has become something that you worry to see where do we start to correct?
Correct it from?
From.
Yeah.
You begin to wonder where. Even in private agencies, where they have terms and years of work, that the moment they complete their years of work, they need a replacement. How did they do the replacement?
Right. We are going to break this down and take it bit by bit. Let me go to Deborah. The thing is, especially in this FCC case, that's Federal Character Commission. So sometimes you wonder, how can such an agency Federal Character Commission be involved in this kind of mess. But by the way, they are not the only one who do this. Experiential shown us, that's what I said, from the government agencies to the private institutions, privately owned businesses and corporate entities as well, is how lucrative are these jobs that people have to pay millions for? You know, in the case of these house hearing going on, we've seen figures being mentioned, and then you wonder, in this Nigeria, you have people collecting this amount of money, 500,000 in salary, almost $1 million in salary, and you're wondering, what do they do? And some is not as lucrative as that. I've had issues of, cases of someone who wants NSCDC job. I'm not demeaning that job, but you understand what I'm trying to say. Just at the entry level, and people are paying thousands, immigration jobs, some of these security agency jobs, and then people are paying through their nose, or sometimes there is an agreement. If you can't pay now, your first 3 salaries, I'm sure there are arrangements like that. It belongs to the person that helps you, meaning you work for free for the next 3 months, for the next 6 months. Some, they do a payment plan, then you're collecting half of the salary for the rest of the year. How lucrative are these jobs that people are to, people are to cough out such an amount for? I'm asking this because if actually you can afford $1 million or 2, why must you give them money to get a job that pays you salary?
Okay, first of all, I need to say this. Job racketeering is a major offense. It's a crime to us as a nation. It's a crime to us as a community. And it's something we all have to stand up to. Permit me to say, if not, we are heading to our doom. Now, concerning the lucrativeness or the non-lucrativeness of this so-called business, because to me now, it's now a business venture.
Sad one.
And apart from the fact that the unemployability of people is also, is also a major reason to actually strive these things, because let's look at it from this angle. You would want to put in your head for something you know you don't earn, or you can't earn, based on your own how do I say it now? Based on your own integrity and effort. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? You will want to, I am not demeaning, I'm not saying the government jobs are like that or the federal agency jobs are like that. I'm just saying that people will go as far as that because they know they can't on their own do something for themselves.
Is that the only reason?
Well, that can, of course, that can be the only reason, but it's a major part. For example, most Nigerian, our education system is questionable as we speak. Most graduates or graduates, as it is now, do not even know what it means to be in the labor force, in the labor market. Some of them do not know what it means to actually do something right, just like he rightly said. So most of this case is a matter of the highest bidder, not who is qualified. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
So you believe these racketeers play on that fact?
Exactly. They strive on that
of factor. Some of them being unemployable.
Yes, and they still want that job anyway. And so, of course, naturally, if you can, put 1 or 2 together, then you can get this job because out there would definitely expose your flaws. So you just have to, whatever way or whatever manner, end this job and at least from there grow so you can, be respectable in the society.
Mr. Brown, let me pause you there. How about people who are qualified, suitably qualified, having the knowledge, having the capacity, but they don't know who knows who? You know what they say about man, no man, somebody in there who can get them the job, but who wants something to do. Okay, and you know what they say about let me give what I have to get what I need.
Want. First of all, we need to understand that this is a word of men. And
this plays a part as well?
Well, as the case may be, yes. But I do not agree that you have to know somebody that knows somebody to get things right or to get a job, as this case is. For example, if you're well qualified, go out there. The world is now, you know, it has gone far than just limiting yourself to what the government agency can offer or can bring. It's just go out there, add up skills, build yourself as much as you can, and trust me, opportunities will come knocking your way. I am not saying what they are doing is right, or you have to see, as long as you're qualified, you will definitely, this is a world where values are being exchanged. As long as you keep adding up your skills, you keep upskilling yourself, you keep adding value to your life, there are very many else opportunity out there, apart from the government agency. Fine, the private agencies too are doing no better, because we know how they run these things. But trust me, all you need to do is prove yourself. Prove yourself. In fact, sometimes...
How about a desperate person who has tried several things, who has tried to lay their hands on several opportunities and is not working out, and somebody come across, I'm talking about the place of desperation now, somebody comes across and say, you know what, I know somebody at the particular place, all you have to do is rub his palms, and then you have this job, and then you can do the job for the next 20 years. So whatever you bring now will just be, just do the needful.
Oh, well, I still don't agree with that. You can always, there's always a choice in this case.
A choice?
Yes. Fine, it might look, you might, like you said, desperate. But I don't think you're too desperate to put yourself in trouble. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Because it's trouble? You think it's trouble?
I think it's trouble. For example, this probe of 18, I believe it came at the right time, and of course, we all need to confront it and all of that. For example, these people that have done this never knew this day will come so early. And now things they are being questioned, they have to answer to all their actions. So for me, I think it is trouble at the end of the day. And what if you end up doing all these things and you still don't get it?
Yeah. So
why not save yourself the trouble, build yourself the necessary skills, and get yourself out there? You don't necessarily see, one of the major problems of cases like this is that you have immigration, you have stagnation in the community where things like this thrive. I am not supporting JACPA. That's the JACPA scenario we are seeing now. I am not supporting JACPA because every society or every economy that would grow needs its human capacity to do that. I'm not supporting JACPA, but as this case is, build yourself and go. If that is the worst case scenario.
Yeah, let me quickly bring Mr. ABDULAZEEZ in. Some will say if there is no seller, sometimes there might not be a buyer. If there is no buyer, there might not be a seller. So as we talk about people who are desperate to get these jobs done, we have people, these bad eggs, who wants to sell these, and then you wonder to what end? Because these names, especially this probe going on, that are being thrown around, there are people you will say these are not poor people. So why still go ahead and be involved? By the way, we are not preempting the probe, it's still an allegation, but you know, due to what we've had in the past, if there are no buyers, would there be sellers? Is it not because, just like she has said, alluded in a part of our speech just now, is if these racketeers, those who sell the slot, if they know that there won't be anybody buying, still they go ahead and be selling. And what I'm saying is this: find the persons buying this as culpable as the ones selling as well. Well, in that sad ecosystem.
Well, I think there are so many things involved.
Okay.
One, we've been exposed to what I'll call goodies. Let me use it that way. We've been exposed to how to enjoy wealth. We've been exposed to when you are rich.
That bad?
When you are rich, this is the life you should be living. So everybody wants to get rich.
Okay.
That is the basic that affects every buyers and sellers.
Okay.
The buyers want to get rich. The only way to get rich is when you get to an office. In this case, many buyers do not see themselves as, I can make a change in my nation with without the government work or without a salary work. Let me be precise now. Let's generalize the salary work. Another factor of the bias is that we've also been open to the system that if you get a salary job, most importantly, government job, you are likely to pension even after retirement. And that everybody wants to enjoy. We're a situation whereby I will not be working and I'll be getting something at the end of the month. Everybody wants to enjoy that. We'll also be exposed to that system. So there will always be a buyer. Except if something comes and says, oh, that system you have been exposed to does not exist again, then the buyers may likely reduce. A lot of us Nigerian youths of today are now also ready to take some risk. Risk of, if I bring money together, they can use this money to do something big, then I can become an employer of labor. We are not ready to go into that. Many of us are not ready to actually go into that.
But some do that.
Many of us. Yes. Yeah. Somebody like me do it. Yeah. Right from my SS1, I told myself I'm not going to go for a salary, even when my father insisted that I just must go to school because I should be employed on the government. In fact, just until recently, he just agreed with me that I just like, use this guy. You are not going to change to what I actually want to. I told myself, no matter what it cost me, I know I'm going to be an employer of labor. Then I've been pushing that right from my SS1. I was talking about 2004 now. So if between then and now, I can do that, I've seen a lot of challenges around. They've told, in fact, somebody has told me that, don't worry, we'll get the job for you, we'll buy the job for you. Then when you get there, they will be collecting our money. I told them, I'm not interested. There are a lot of opportunities. Like, so if there's a change of mindset that there's no free money anywhere again, then the buyers will reduce. However, the sellers, in Yoruba, I don't know if in Yoruba ways, no matter how rich you think you are, you want to get more richer. For every 1 naira you spend out, you want to take another 10 naira in the place of it. So that is the case of the sellers too. Not that they don't have the money, but they know that they have to subscribe. It's as little as subscription of 5,000 naira or 100,000 naira a month. They need something to replace it without their major source of income. So the sellers also want to look in that part as well. So if care is not taken, the sellers and the buyers will continue to increase in numbers. And the sellers are not limited to the federal commissioners' agencies alone. It's cut across the political atmosphere too. The House of Rep member want to buy slots for you. The senator want to buy slot for you. If they buy for you, they are not ready to give you for free. You just have to buy from them as well. A senator for that matter. Yes.
Is this what happens?
There are cases. If you are allowed to be mentioning names, there are cases of House of Rep members who sells forms, who sells employment form to the constituents. There are some that will be given even as rep member.
As registration form?
Not registration form, sir.
Slot form.
Slot form. There are many of them that will be given the
people
slot.
Have to pay heavily for.
To them, to House of Rep member, before they give you that job. Either to their constituent or somebody else from another state. Because they want to gain money from it. There are cases. There are names, if you begin to mention, there are names of people who are the rep member, the honorable member who are involved in these cases. So we're saying that we want to start to probe the House of Rep member or the House of Rep or the Senate is ready to probe or they are probing. My brother, Nigeria is full of drama. And I believe we are only playing drama.
And to add to what he said, I think it's not just the case of just getting richer and all of that. It's also the case of if I do this, there's no consequences. Like I can do this and get away with it. After all, I am this and that. And that is the case playing in Nigeria as we speak. And it just so happened that Honorable Oluwole Oke happened to just make this at this time. And I think push the motion for this probing thing at this time. And I think so far so good. This probe of a thing has not really been effective.
Have you been following?
Okay. Before now, I think there was one in 2019. There have been several other probing scenarios.
They didn't see the end result.
And no result. They just come up with all the dramas and all of that. And at the end of it, nothing follows. Nothing at all. Fine, I agree that this has actually come out with a little transparency and all of that. But after this, what happens?
Wait, let me add a little.
Okay.
I'll still remain on the point that we are only playing drama. ICPC was set up for a purpose. EFC was set up for a purpose. If these two agencies have been doing their work diligently, then we don't need any special probe anywhere.
Is that still within the scope of the House of Reps to investigate matters like that?
Yes, it's within the scope of House of Reps. But if the ICPC has done the needful, if the EFC has done the needful, then House of Reps will not have any stress probing any agency because they stop it from the initial stage. They identify the buyer, they are expected to identify the buyer and the seller from the initial stage and work on it.
All right. For the benefit of those who are probably wondering what this job racketeering is all about, let's just bring you up to speed as to the story behind this, where a former DEX officer at the Federal Character Commission in Abuja, Haruna Kolo, who has been, there's been a warrant for his arrest that he should even show up at the House of Representatives, and who has actually indicted the chairman of that commission, Habibat Dankaka, about the fact that he collects money on behalf of the chairman to secure jobs for people, to sell slots for people. And we have been looking at the impact of this in our dear nation. The House of Representatives have said, hey, Mr. Kolo, come up in here, but he's refused to show up. Where, just like our guests have rightly stated, where does this leave us? Would there be an end result to this and for this in the course of the investigation? Will there be a thorough investigation? We'll keep our fingers crossed. We'll take a short break right now, and when we return, definitely we'll move further ahead on the program this morning. Thank you for staying with us. Shola Doye for being a part of the program this morning. You need to be careful because I know Deborah is one very meticulous lady when it comes to choosing who she interacts with. Thank you, Deborah, for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you, sir.
We'll take a short break right now. We'll be back. Stay with us.
The Berlin Conference of 1884 defined the configuration of Africa, which hitherto existed as a continent of multiple kingdoms and empires under native rulers. The conference, otherwise referred to as Congo Conference, regulated European colonization and trade in Africa as initiated by German leader Otto von Bismarck. The Berlin Conference is often called the scramble for and partitioning of Africa, as each of the imperial powers carved separate portions of the continent for themselves without recourse to racial and cultural identities and differences. 137 years after the Berlin Conference was held, Africa remains a legitimized playground for European nations that sought to exploit its wealth and resources and manipulate its human capital to promote trades and investments of Western powers. Western Spring Television identifies Berlin Conference as a major event in history. James Ajibolaige was a lawyer who obtained his first degree in classics from Nigeria's premier university of Ibadan. Born September 13, 1930, the orator and the polyglot spoke impeccable English, French, Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba languages. His fine diction placed him among classical orators and public
AKINBODE. All right, you're welcome back. The program is Stay Morning Springs on Western Spring Television. And we've been talking, especially on this part of the program, about the job racketeering saga as we have been seeing in the House of Reps ad hoc committee probe going on to investigate the FCC, that's the Federal Character Commission, about matters that have arise from that agency of the government, and there have been sterling revelations, albeit allegations and counter-allegations about the chairman of the commission, national commissioners of that commission, and the Honorable Adamu Gaji-led committee has been working on the matter with other House members as well. And that's why we are talking about these. Now, to state the fact, it's not just about the FCC, but the reality, sad reality of what obtains in our dear nation, Nigeria, that has been running for years. And that's why we're having this conversation this morning. We have been speaking with Mr. ABDULAZEEZ earlier. Ms. Deborah Sholadoye was here, and then we'll continue the conversation now, and then welcome our second guest for today. We're talking about the young people. We have the former chairman of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, speaking on the matter, Mr. ABDULAZEEZ. Thank you for being here. And of course, we are being joined. Yeah,
the current chairman of the National Youth Council.
Nigeria Youth Congress.
Nigeria Youth Congress. Oh, okay, yes.
There's the NYC, and then there's the NYC.
Okay. That's Mr. AKINBODE KOLUPO. It's a pleasure to have you, Mr. KOLUPO. Thank you, gentlemen, for taking time out to be with us this morning.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's look at this issue that is ravaging the nation at the moment, job racketeering. I gave a brief introduction. We've seen what's been happening. The young man, the ex-DEX officer at the Federal Character Commission. Why I am a little bit concerned the more is an agency of government of that magnitude, Federal Character Commission, allegedly having to do something like this. As a Nigerian, as a young man, in which we all are, what does this portend for the future of Nigeria if this is happening at this point in time?
Well, thank you so much for having me. Once again, I am AKINBODE KOLUPO. Yeah, the state chairman, Nigeria Youth Congress.
Oh, not AKINBODE
KOLUPO.
Wow, I like that name.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So, I'll pick it up from there. In our country, we are almost 90% of the citizens had the problem of the nation. The minute population trying to find a solution to the problem. It's a very difficult game.
Sorry, how do you mean? 90% of the population are the problem?
Yes.
How do you mean?
I will explain.
Yes.
Johnson Maswell said, and I quote, leadership is everything. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And almost every sector of the nation, we have leaders. In this organization, we have leaders, and in church we have, in mosque we have, communities we have.
Yeah.
So, leadership is our problem. And I'm a leader, he's a leader, almost everybody. So it means that almost all of us had a problem. Now, the beginning of the problem of racketeering starts from universities admissions.
Okay.
Where you have to pay to get admission. Little amount, 20, and then we graduate to NYC, where you have to pay to be posted to your desired state. Have you heard of that? So little by little, 50, 60.
So influence the posting?
Yes, of course they do. Now, and we know some of us join the problem. It's a problem, but we join. Now, to job placement, where you have to pay to get a job. Some even encourage their parents to pay. Some pay as high as 4 million naira to get a job. So it's not a problem of today. It has been existing as far back 1960. Now, if we now have a policy making system, I mean policy makers that are now condemning the heart, we have a problem. Where are our policy makers? Do we have policy against racketeers? Have we have any? But they are in the society, and we know them. Every sector of the system is corrupt.
So what is the way forward when if every sector of every system is corrupt at this moment?
Just one way forward, sir.
All right.
And the way forward is leadership. Because everything rises and falls on leadership.
But you're sounding like we are helpless. Are we helpless?
I don't want to believe we are helpless because we are our help. Everybody, our mindset. Sir, if somebody like me, if somebody wants to give me a job, I don't even need it. So you can't tell me to come and pay 500,000 to get a job. Give me the 500,000, let me add it to my business.
How about people that need it? If you don't need
that need a job, yes, me, I don't need it. Some people even desire to get the job through these racketeers.
Needs must be met, isn't it?
There's another level of racketeers in our society now. Okay. They pay to Jabba.
But let's stay on this, by the way. Okay. Let's stay on this matter. That's a whole lot of conversation.
Yes.
Talking about the principle of supply and demand, needs, wants, having to foot bills. You know, let me paint a scenario. For somebody who has gone through everything he or she has to go through, school, skilled person, and now wants a job. The person is looking at a job at the FCC, at this MDA, at that MTA, have a future there. All I have to do is just, you know, do everything I can, get money here, get that money and give it to these people. And then I have a future for myself for the next 20, 25, 30 years. I can always be paid. And so that 2, 3 million, 1 million I've paid will not really matter again. Is that not that consideration from people who feel, I don't want to steal, or I don't want to be a, you know, a fraudster, but can I please do this so that I can get the desired future of my own?
Sir, integrity
and
matters.
The end will not justify the means.
You are right, integrity matters.
In a manner of speaking.
Now, racketeering simply means getting job racketeering, getting job in a fraudulent way.
Yeah.
That is a fraudulent way.
Why
will you pay to get a job? And like I said, I was talking about leadership. This thing happens mostly in government organizations. Yes.
Some will say, I said private jobs.
I said mostly.
Yeah. Mostly.
So who gives out the job? Government. Who collect money from the people? Government officials. They had the problem. The leadership. So if I as a person, now because I want a better future for myself, I want to work in NNPC and I know the pay is okay, and I have gathered probably 3.5 million naira, and I know that if I get this, the implication is I got it in the wrong way. And I am ready to get my money back in no time. And that is what happened with our politicians trying to borrow money to get to position. Because the first thing they do when they get there is to get their money back.
To recoup what they have spent.
So if you got the job in the wrong way, you will do wrong thing.
Okay. Now, Mr. ABDULAZEEZ, let's look at the level of orientation these days of Nigerians who are seeking employment in one way or the other. Do you feel our orientation is a little bit shallow? Because if I have 3.5 million naira now, why should I embark on probably a job? If I put that into a good business and it is my business and I follow it up duly or dutifully, don't you think I'll be a better person?
That has always been my point to every youth who have the mindset of buying jobs or even wanting to japa. My analysis is this. I started hustling, let me call it hustling, in 2006 to be precise.
Okay.
And I started with 5,000 naira. I was buying these video audio cassettes. I was selling them. Okay. That was how I started. And from there, I progressed. I opened a computer business center where I have about 3 computers at start. So I used to make this analysis. When you tell a lot of people that 20,000 naira now, in fact 10,000 naira now, they start a business, they wonder how. The analysis is simple. What level of business, what level have you put yourself in the first instance? If you can gather 1 million naira, if you can make effort to gather 1 million naira, Nigeria is big enough for you to become a millionaire in 6 months, maximum. 6 months.
Can you repeat that?
If you can gather 1 million naira, Nigeria is big enough for you to become a millionaire in 6 months, maximum.
A statement of fact?
Yes.
Because I'm sure
there are businesses.
I'm sure many persons looking at you this morning would like to have your number.
There are businesses outside there that you can do with even 500,000 naira. Then you become a millionaire, or you become a millionaire in 6 months.
With this economic reality.
Yes, that's a fact.
Okay.
It's simple. What kind of business do you want to do? What kind of expenses do you want to put yourself into? I have someone who sold his Android phone for 3 months because he wanted to start a business and does not have any capital anywhere. I can deny myself a social media engagement for 3 months because I want to become a millionaire. And the guy did that in 3 months. He bought another 2 Android phones, not affecting the business. Wow. He does not have anybody to help him. He does not have anybody to help him. When he was analyzing his story to me, I was like, wow, this person I'm talking about is less than 25 years of age. So it's not somebody that has even experienced the law, that has suffered up and down, because now before you now think of, okay, let me fall back and see what I can do. So if you can raise as much as that amount, then you don't need to rush yourself to become a millionaire. You do it bit by bit. Dangote does not just become a millionaire in a day. It started from somewhere. Everybody, we have a lot of people there that are millionaires today. None of them started big. They started small. So why are we not ready to start small? That is part of the major challenge we are having. Now, if you can make search, then you can also do more better. You don't need to stress yourself looking for a job anywhere outside again.
So, Mr. ABDULAZEEZ, you're talking about the willingness to go all the way beyond just salary jobs. Yes. To try out other things. Yes. Because many persons will tell you they've tried other things. They've had their fingers burnt in the process, talking about challenges, failure, and that's why they feel, okay, maybe having a regular, consistent salary in a place will do the wonder for them.
In other way, I will tell
Nigerians are not idle. Young people are doing fantastically well.
Nigerians are not idle. Young people are doing fantastically well. But we are putting ourselves on a scale that we are not up to.
Do you think that's the reason why some have to puff out that money?
Because they feel that they need, okay, for example now, I'm running on a capital of 500,000. Then I don't have a reason to go to Spices to eat my breakfast, to eat my lunch, to eat my... The moment I begin to do that, 500,000 I will end up in less than a few weeks.
Living within your means, that's what you're saying.
Yes, you have to live. That is where it starts. If I'm running on a business of 500,000 naira, then it does not cost me anything to go to Mama Put or the woman selling across the road. I beg, come and give me food. Maximum 200 naira. I will eat my breakfast. Maximum 200 naira. I will take my lunch. Then same goes for dinner. That is even if you must eat 3 times in a day. I'm person that anybody that has a
reality. I know that 200 naira is just a little bit of.
I wonder what you care with that.
Probably,
sir.
Depending on what you are actually buying,
sir. You are saying the 200 naira because you are beyond the 200 naira. The actually means that there are some people that live within that money that you think it is very small, and they will be satisfied.
All right, Mr. ABDULAZEEZ, some will argue with that. By the way, that what do you want to have? Because I'm sure a loaf of bread we should be around 200 naira or 150, but that's not the conversation. Mr. KOLUPO, now some will say, just like Deborah said the other time as well. Let me start from here. Talking about policy, talking about framework, talking about constitution, we have it. We are not in depth of that. Like this is what you do, this is the right way to follow, you should not pay anybody, you should just come for an interview, advertisement will be made, you go out for an interview, and then you go to the next stage of the employment, and then blah blah blah, you get to where you are going, and then if you are employed, fine. If you are not, you try out other things. We are not in doubt of that. There is policy, there is the place of law. That's why we have the Code of Conduct Bureau. That's why we have the ICPC, the EFCC to checkmate. The Nigerian police, our laws as well. But then consequences for actions of people who are involved in this, we have not really seen more of that. And that's why this probe that is going on, some are very hopeful. I am hopeful that maybe this has been televised. Now people are really involved. There are so many persons who are pessimistic, like we've seen this before. Where are we going? What I'm saying is the concept of actions and consequences in our nation, especially on this matter. Where do we go from here?
Okay, thank you. We have actually
to curb this malice.
We have actually had several cases of corruptions in time past. But you are trying to say something the other time. You are talking about demand and supply.
Yeah.
You know, there is what we call equilibrium, where demand meets supply.
Yeah.
In this case of racketeering, job racketeering, that is what we have. Because if you are demanding for 5 jobs, this one is ready to supply 5 jobs. So what you need, what you have, you use to get a 5 job. So highest bidder. Now, we have the policy. But in this country or in this part of the world, we are people who don't follow process. We are not ready to follow process. We are always ready to jump. Yes, there are policy. Policy are for the people. People who make the policy, they are the one that will first go against the policy. So how do we now go back to them and, how do I put it, and go against them? How do I mean? Somebody who put policy in place that this is a traffic light, and don't go against the traffic light. He has to take convoy, having an emergency meeting. He has to break the rule. How do we go back to that person and say, you have broke the rule? Everybody, until we see that, you know, I am one of the youth that believe that Nigeria will be great. Yesterday I was in a church praying for this country because I believe that I was trying to explain our green, white, green flag. I said the green first is the greener pasture that we have. But majority of us are trying to, you know, travel because we don't believe in that greener pasture or it's not showing. And we travel to white because there is peace, white. But we still come back to that green, which is the greener pasture. 80%, 90% of people who travel out will still come back to Nigeria, meeting the problem they left in double way. Now, why don't let us come together and fix this country?
How do we do that?
Everybody has to have hand in this. In following process. Yeah, following process. You want to get admission, you have 280. You want to study medicine, the cutoff is 340. Don't beg anybody. Stay, wait. The time will come. You want to get an NNBC job. Like he said the other time, I'm also a business person. In fact, there are business you can do in Nigeria with 0 naira. I started my business with 0.000 during my NYC days. By the grace of God today, it's growing. Now, but it is not everybody that will do business.
Yeah. Business
is not for everybody. Everybody cannot, cannot multitask. And if you cannot multitask, you might not be able to do business. So what we need to do is, all of us, particularly the youth, because the older generations, they are going, and they are leaving this problem with us. What we need to do is, we need to say the reality, that the company is entering into the pit. And we, our generation, we suffer from it, and the generation to come, who are the generation to come? Our children. We continue the mess. So we need to say that all of us need to build this nation. Following process. What do you want to do? You want to start a business? You want to get a loan? Don't lobby. We call it lobby. We lobby for things a lot in this country.
Is lobbying bad? Is lobbying necessarily bad?
If you lobby and it's not, it doesn't come with the aspect of cash.
So that we can
lobby. I can lobby to come and get something. Okay, go and meet Mr. AKINBODE. Yeah. Mr. AKINBODE, it's me, City from...
Some people are desperate to get things. So if the first process is to lobby, oh, please, I want this thing.
Yeah.
But because they want it, they can do anything to get it. That's the problem.
Gentlemen, let's just quickly look at the recruitment style. When we have people, when we don't have a round peg in a round hole, in all these agencies, all these government parastatals, at this point, what does this portend for the future of our dear nation? Let me take one. You guys, that's a question one after the other. Because if I probably someone who is not commissioned as a broadcaster here and it comes in here, you know, there's always a difference. But for the larger realm, Nigeria, what does this portend if we don't have
our image and our future
in the round home? Mr. ABDULAZEEZ,
I think I've said something around that earlier.
Okay.
We already have the result at the moment. Because those that had the opportunity or that was given the opportunity there during the course of recruitment, they are now peers, they are now directors now. And the result, we all have the result at the moment now. So because they were not competent then, they employed them. But because the system gives them opportunity of either you improve or you don't improve, when it is 2 years, you get a promotion. It is 2 years, you get a promotion. Either they improve on themselves or not. So that exact result we're having today will continue if the process do not change. Like you said, except if you want to be limiting the corruption in this nation, do not just start at the tertiary institutions though. It starts even at the secondary level. I know of some of my colleagues while I was in secondary school that the questions and answers were bought for them. In fact, the WAEC result was bought for them.
So it speaks about the process.
Yes.
Ab initio,
so
the system.
It's not about the JAMB or the higher institution admission alone. If WAEC, have you heard that DSS3 result was even bought? Are you aware? Yes, are you aware that primary 6 result was even bought?
That's a lot. Mr. KOLUPO.
And somebody who buy
so somebody who has been buying so long
will buy admission in OAU and eventually with zero level of competence.
I wonder why you're mentioning OAU, by the way.
Because it's a federal university.
So, in a federal university.
It's a federal university.
We don't get into a problem.
So,
you know,
somebody who bought result will buy job. And somebody who buy job, you will not expect anything.
So it's a bad thing for the image and the future.
Now, the end result.
Yes.
Yesterday when I went to that church, I told them that you are our parents, you put us in this mess. You were the problem. Now we are the problem. They were the problem. They are leaving us. If you pass through normal process in school,
procedures,
normal procedure, I don't think it's necessary for you to buy job. Though I know that there is hunger in the land.
Yeah, I tried to speak to that earlier. That some will just put rational thinking, logical thinking, because of what There was this guy that was at the house of Rep Probe who had to speak on the matter from the Northeast and said, "I'm from the Northeast." He was part of that probe. He spoke up and said, "I had chance to join the Boko Haram. I didn't do that because I wanted to be a good Nigerian." And then when he said he came from a family of 21. And so when he saw the opportunity, he just felt this is an opportunity to make life for himself and to help his community. Now, looking at that particular case study, and now the bad thing is, which I want us to look at in 2 minutes before we go, is some of these people pay for these jobs. They are given employment letter, but it's not official. Because some of them spoke to that, the job wasn't regularized. So they are having problem. They got some salaries, and then after some time, the salary will stop. So it speaks to the fact that these things, when you pay for it at times, that doesn't mean you are brought into the system.
Many of those who are buying do not care. Despite the fact that they know that happened, they still want to buy. Let me just be in the system.
They
that's the level of desperation.
How instead of the job place, that commission to enroll them as a staff member, they have to be taken to IPPIS as a person.
IPPIS is even involved in this.
Yes, because they were mentioned that people had to be brought individually to come and enroll inside the system instead of your own workplace to enroll you them, or to recommend you for the IPPS. Gentlemen, before we go, the probe going on, Mr. KOLUPO, are you hopeful? Well, that maybe we might see another, you know, maybe we might see something better. That
we have been having hope in cases in Nigeria, and the end result, you know, they will get disappointed.
So you are not hopeful
because the problem is the people behind the scene. They are the problem. So and we don't see them.
You are not hopeful.
Yeah, let me say I'm being skeptical about it.
All right, Mr. ABDULAZEEZ.
Yes, same here because
skeptical.
Yes, I will always be skeptical. You know, I said it earlier. We have the FCC, we have the ICPC. What is the result of their jobs since their creation? So if ICPC FC does not have any positive result till now, so you don't expect, anything special.
Now, how to solve this problem? People like you and I have to start an advocacy.
And that's what we are doing now.
Yes. No, we won't stop here.
Yeah.
We are youth body. We have to continue. OSUN can be an example.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. You know, but if you are saying you are not hopeful, you are pessimistic about the program going on, but I hope you are hopeful about the nation Nigeria.
Of course, no, definitely.
Well, somebody like me will even say that I'm not sure I'm going to travel out of this nation. If I travel out of the nation, I went for
to enjoy yourself.
I'd like to thank both of you, Mr. ABDULAZEEZ, former chairman of National Youth Council of Nigeria, OSUN State Chapter, and also Mr. AKINBODE, the present chairman of Nigeria Youth Council Youth Congress, OSUN State Chapter. Gentlemen, thank you. It starts with us all, and it started.
Thank you.
We're back again tomorrow on another edition of this program, Morning Spring, live from Western Spring Television. Hey, what has to be done right? Let's do it right. Sunday IDOWU is my name. I'll be back again tomorrow.
I'd like to sincerely thank you, the gentleman here, Ms. Deborah Sholadoye, who was here, and you are distinguished viewers watching us across the globe. Please do well to follow us on all our social media platforms and of course our YouTube page. You could get a recap of this program on our YouTube page as well at Western Springs Television. Do have a lovely day and a lovely week for yourself. FEMI Ojo is my name. God bless Nigeria. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Wetin be this? Jesus. Blood of Jesus.